Hi, greetings. It's me, Dr. Paul Gerhardt, and I want to talk to you today about this first introductory video to managing human resources. This is the first video in a series of 15 videos that are going to talk about everything you need to know as a human resource manager, at least give you the essentials of what you need to know. So, some of you may know that I've been teaching human resources for the last 11 years. And of course, I've interacted in my career with human resource professionals for the last, going on, oh my goodness, like close to 30 years. So I've got a lot of experience in interacting with people related to human resources, coaching companies, and working with human resource professionals. And so hopefully this introductory video will help lay down a foundation for the rest of the series of these videos, and will give you a better understanding of what human resource professionals do, be able to help you really understand what all is involved in human resource management, and understand the responsibilities of human resource departments, and give you an overview of the types of competencies that human resource managers need to have. Also, how managers integrate with human resource professionals. We're going to talk about ethics. Ethics really is the core of any successful business. And then we're going to talk about things related to careers in human resources. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the video. And I know this is going to be a long video, but there's a lot of foundational information that I'm going to share with you. So, human resource management really is all about the policies, practices, and systems that influence employees, their behavior, their attitudes, and performance. So human resource professionals really are the backbone of most organizations because they help align people and systems in order to benefit from what employees have to bring. You know, companies with effective human resource management professionals tend to be to help customers and employees become more satisfied. And that really is the key to success. People need to be happy with what they have. Companies that have successful human resource departments are seen by having greater levels of innovation, greater productivity, and a more favorable reputation within an organization. And people like doing businesses with organizations that treat people right. You know, businesses wouldn't be in operation unless they had successful business professionals. Excuse my light system here. All right, so let's talk about strategic HRM. So, analysis and design of work, planning, recruiting, selection, training and development, performance management, compensation, anything related to employees, and essentially anything that affects company performance really is the goal and practice of HRM. Human resource really is about people, and employees are that resource. Human capital is what we often call it, and employees are often described in terms of training, experience, judgment, intelligence, relationships, and insight. It really takes having the right people in the right places doing the right things to keep an organization successful. So, things that impact HRM include the type of capital, including what I just talked about, training, experience, judgment, intelligence, relationships, and insight. It's about organizational performance. It's quality, profitability, and customer satisfaction. They all go hand in hand, and great human resource professionals know that. Behavior of human capital includes motivation and effort. So let's talk about company performance as it relates to human resources. Organizations must have sustainable competitive advantage. And human resources give organizations an advantage because human resources are valuable and they shouldn't be imitated. They have no good substitutes, and they really need to have the right skills and knowledge. And having those people in place doing the right thing at the right time really is key. It's about high performance work systems. And technology, organizational structure, people and processes, they all work together to give the organization that competitive advantage. And that really is key in any organization, to really have an overview of what makes that organization work. It's all about the systems. And human resource professionals help align managers and people within departments to develop those successful systems. So there's a lot of responsibilities that people within human resource departments have. And essentially those could be categorized into 3 product lines. 1, administrative services and transactions. 2, business partners services. And 3, strategic partner. So let's talk about the responsibilities of human resource departments. So 1, they need to be able to analyze the design of the work. 2, they're doing recruiting and selecting, training and development, that's orientation, skills training, career development programs. Performance management is about developing performance measures and preparation for performance appraisals and also discipline. Compensation and benefits. Employee relations, that's attitude surveys, labor relations, employee handbooks, company publications, labor law compliance, relocation and outplacement sources, personnel policies, policy creation and policy communication, employee data, record keeping, human resource information system, workforce analytics, compliance with laws, and support for strategy, talent management, change management. So job analysis really is all about the process of getting detailed information about the job. So every organization needs to have the right people in the right places, and the starting place for this is really understanding is what is needed. And so having specific detail about what the job is all about is important. And then job design, that's the process of defining the way work will be performed and the tasks that a given job requires. So you can see this is pretty foundational stuff, and it's somewhat of a science, you know, knowing what needs to be done and understanding the processes to help people get the work done in the most efficient and effective way possible. So recruitment and selection is one of the major things that most human resource departments are known for. So recruitment is defined as the process through which the organization seeks applicants for the potential employment, and selection is the process by which the organization attempts to identify applicants with the necessary knowledge, skills, abilities, and other characteristics that will help the organization achieve its goals. So some things that the top qualities that employers really are looking for, write these things down. Teamwork skills. Every person in an organization is a member of a team. Even if they're working autonomously, they still must have teamwork abilities. They must have effective decision-making and problem-solving skills. They must have proper planning and prioritization tasks, time management. They must have excellent verbal communication skills, and they must have the ability to gather and process information. So essentially, these are the key things that human resource people help provide managers in employees. So those are some of the top skills needed. So let's talk about training and development. Training employees is a planned effort to help employees be enabled to learn job-related knowledge, skills, and behaviors. Development is the acquisition of knowledge, skills, and behaviors that improve an employee's ability to meet changes in job requirements and customer demands. So they're two distinct things, but they do go hand in hand. Performance management is another key area of responsibility for human resource professionals. And performance management is the process of ensuring that employees' activities and outputs match the organizational goals. So are people doing what they need to be doing at the rate that the organization expects? And so human resource people are responsible for obtaining questionnaires, developing those questionnaires, and creating devices that measure performance. Pay and benefits are also very important. You know, in order to stay competitive, you got to be paying people at a wage that's competitive. And how much salary, wages, bonuses, commissions, and other performance related to pay are all considered by human resource professionals with managers. And benefits are also another deciding factor. Whether or not people choose a job depends on what a company has to offer and align with benefits. And so they often have to really take a look at costs associated with those benefits and how much the employee will share in those costs of benefits. Human resource people often are responsible for administrating the pay and benefits, and so they have to have the right systems to keep track of employees' earnings and benefits that are needed. Employees need to understand information about their benefit plans, and so human resource people do that. And so there's a lot of extensive record keeping that's needed within human resources. It's also important for HR professionals to maintain positive employee relations. People are not numbers. And so having resources like handbooks that help people understand what's expected of them, helping people deal with and respond to communications from employee questions, negotiating union contracts and maintaining communications with representatives, establishing and administering personnel policies for hiring, discipline, promotions, and benefit. So these are just a few of the major things that human resource people do. So let's talk about workforce analytics. This is the use of quantitative tools and scientific methods that analyze data from human resource databases and other sources that make evidence-based decisions that support business goals. So are we doing things effectively? Do we have the right people in the right places producing at the right quantities? Are we missing anything as far as outputs in our organization? One of the major things that HR people do is they make sure that the organization's employees are in compliance with labor laws. And so we'll talk about in this video series labor laws. So the government requirements include filing reports and displaying posters and avoiding unlawful behavior. Managers depend on HR professionals to help them keep track of these requirements. Lawsuits could be really expensive to organizations, and so it really is important that people understand their rights and managers are effectively upholding those rights. Planning is an important part of organization, and every successful organization has a successful strategy or many successful strategies, and so planning is really key. This is identifying the numbers and types of employees the organization will require to meet its objectives. Talent management. These are systematic planned efforts to attract, retain, develop, and motivate highly skilled employees and managers. And evidence-based HR is all about collecting and using data to show that human resource practices have a positive influence on the company's bottom line or stakeholders. So organizations really have to have systems in place to be able to really analyze how well they're doing and be able to help them figure out if they have the right systems and people in places. So in order for organizations to be successful, they need to really have an image where consumers, customers, stakeholders all perceive the organization as something they want to do business with. And so a lot of that has to do with corporate social responsibility, meeting the needs of its stakeholders. And corporate social responsibility also includes having companies, employees, and customers making sure that they feel successfully supported. Sustainability is another thing, and this is the organization's ability to profit without depleting its resources, including employees, natural resources, supporting the community appropriately. So essentially, there are 4 clusters of categories associated with the knowledge and skills of human resource professionals. And these 4 things are technical, interpersonal, business, and leadership. So if you want to be in human resources, you really should get a good background in each of those 4 different areas. Competencies of human resource people. So 1, they really need to understand how management works. They need to be good consultants. They need to understand leadership and navigation. They need to have good communication skills. They need to understand global and cultural effectiveness. They need to be ethical. They need to make sure they have good critical thinking abilities and also really understand what it takes to run an effective business. So, human resource professionals really need to work closely with supervisors, people who are managing other people. HR professionals help managers really understand and define jobs. They help managers forecast HR needs. They provide the training. They help in the interviewing and selection process of candidates. They help in the appraisal performance processes. And I think that's one of the biggest abused systems out there is the appraisal system. So people really need to feel like they're in a fair system and know what's expected of them and help them understand what they're doing well and where their opportunities are in a critical and supportive way. HR professionals recommend pay increases and promotion. They help communicate policies, and then they motivate with support from pay, benefits, and other rewards. HR professionals really must be objective and ethical. And really is about making sure people understand what is right and what is wrong. And having ethical behavior could make the difference of having employees that are happy or having employees who are scared and have one foot out the door. And so every organization needs to really practice ethical behaviors, and human resource professionals help make sure that happens. So employees also have rights. They have a free right of consent. They need to know what's happening in their organization, be treated with respect. They also have the right of privacy. People have their own private lives, and they have the right to control what happens in their own lives. They also have the freedom of conscience, and people have the right to refuse to do what violates their moral beliefs and be able to reflect upon commonly accepted norms. They have the freedom of speech, and people have the right to criticize an organization's ethics and do so in good conscience, and their criticism shouldn't violate the individual's right within the organization. Due process is something that also is very important. If people are being accused of doing something wrong, they have a a right to a fair and impartial hearing. So organizations really prosper when people are doing the right things for the right reason, and that essentially is ethics. Ethical companies act according to four main principles. One, in their relationships with customers and vendors and clients, ethical companies emphasize mutual benefits. Two, employees assume responsibility for their actions of the company. Three, the company has a sense of purpose or vision that employees value and use their day-to-day work. And four, they emphasize fairness. So, ethical practices really is about looking at the greatest good for the greatest number. It's about respecting basic human rights, and it's about being fair and equitable. And so, really, it's about HR professionals really need to help managers and employees understand how what they do makes a difference in the organization and helps align them with ethical practices. So HR people have great careers, and it seems to be a growing field for most organizations, since lots of organizations are growing and they need more employees, and baby boomers, the largest generation on the face of this earth, are retiring at a rate of 10,000 people every day. And so HR people really are becoming more highly in demand, and so having a degree in human resources is could be very lucrative. They have pretty good salaries depending on their education and experience. Some positions out there are generalists and some are very specialized. And most positions these days in human resources really do require having an education. HR managers make well over $120,000, and so their positions are often called Director of Human Resources or Vice President in Human Resources. There's a training director who usually makes around $120,000 as a median salary. Human resource managers typically make between $80,000 to $100,000. HRS specialists make around $70,000. Of course, all these depend on the area. Recruiters often make around $50,000 a year. Benefit analysts often make around $50,000, $60,000 a year. HR service representatives are at the lower end of the scale, around $40,000, and human resource assistants are just under the $40,000 mark. So there's a lot of jobs to consider in the human resource industry. So anyway, I know this has been a very long video, but in summary, HR are very, very important. They help align people, policies, practice, and systems, employees' behaviors, attitudes, performance. All of these has an effect on the success of an organization. And so having the right people in the right places doing the right things in an ethical way is really what human resources is all about. So I've given you a lot to consider here. I know it's been a long video. I suggest watching it over if you want to get an overview of what human resources is. Again, this is the first video in a series of 15 videos that will really help you understand what human resource management is all about, what they do, and their processes. Thanks so much for your valuable time. I really appreciate it. I hope that you have a great day, because only you get to choose how you feel about it. I'm Dr. Paul Gerhardt.